Hello, everybody. Jeff Reinhardt here, LMP and Lancaster Online, back for week 4 of the LL Football Roundtable, coming to you from Tyler's hometown, Exeter, PA, home of the Eagles. Hello. Week 4, ready for head-to-head section action. It's finally here. LL and Berks combined. And this is what they had in mind many years ago when they got these plans rolling to have a mega league, and it all starts this week in week 4. Thanks again to our sponsor, Bobby Ray Hall Lexus. Appreciate you for that. Okay, let's talk all things Exeter football. Let's bring in Kyle Lash, two-way dominating line kid for Exeter. Great start for you guys, 3-0. Just speak to that and what's going right here for you the first 3 weeks.
Well, the team's playing great. Everything's coming together week 3. We had a great offseason, so let's just go back to where we went last year.
Mifflin week. Is that all Coach has to say, basically? Is Monday afternoon, Mifflin week. For the LL folks who might not be aware of these rivalries here yet, what's it like with Mifflin week? How big of a deal is that around here?
It's really big. It's two big teams come together and battle it out, so it's just adrenaline on the field.
Biggest memories and takeaways from beating them in the district finals last year. Unbelievable game. You beat them. They were 10-0, number 1 in the state. How cool was it to beat them in the district finals? And can you use that Mo at all this year? Good memories.
It was definitely pretty neat, like knowing that almost everyone in the county, everyone in the state knew. They thought we had no chance, and we really proved them wrong.
It was a moment I'll never forget. It was a great feeling, beating Nick Singleton, how good of a player he is. It was great, and I think we really took that into this season and said we want to feel that again and even more.
It's early in the week. You probably haven't seen a ton of film. But, give me a sneak peek on Mifflin. I know they have 2 losses, but they're coming off a win, and it's Mifflin, and they're going to come, they're going to come for you on Friday. What kind of game are you expecting, and what have you seen from them early?
I'm sure they got a great defense. I've seen it. They're going to come out hard, and like I said, that's what we're preparing for this week, just to, even try even harder and come out with the win.
I know you're playing a Berks rival, but it's an LL League game, which is different. Are you guys excited now that this is finally here and you're going to have these LL Berks games in Section 2 and Manheim and Warwick and Mifflin? How's that going to go? And are you excited that it's finally here and these are LL games?
Yeah, I'm really excited because we're definitely going to play some way better teams than we have been playing in the past couple years. We got teams like Warwick, Manheim Central, Hempfield we have on our schedule, so we're going to have some tough games this year.
All right, welcome back from Exeter. We are into week 4 of the football schedule. I know things look a little bit different. Mike Gross is away this week. I'm John Walk, sitting in his chair. It works out just fine. To my right, your left, Mr. Jeff Reinhardt knows all things LL football. To my left, your right, Mr. Mike Drago from Mike Drago Sports, the veteran Berks County high school sports reporter. And it works out perfectly in the sense that, hey, week 4, we're going into, it's official now, LL Berks football merger, and it starts this week with the league schedule. First off, I guess we'll start there. Berks League, how's things going out there? What are you surprised by through the first 3 weeks?
Really, no surprises. I mean, we expected Wyomissing to be very good. They haven't been challenged yet. We thought Exeter was going to be very good. They haven't been challenged yet. So I'm anxious to get into league play, to get some of these tougher games. Exeter plays Mifflin this week. So they'll get a little bit more of a challenge there, although this is not quite the Mifflin we've seen the last few years by quite a bit. But I think everything's going according to schedule so far.
Right, and we're going to get to that Exeter Mifflin game here in a second. We're going to chat 4 top games in what is 20 games this week in week 4. We're going to talk about 4 of them. Before we get to that, we got 3 bullet points for Mr. Reinhardt.
3 bullet
coming
points.
Off of week 3.
Okay, 3 bullet points from week 3. Start here, Saturday. Wow. Manheim Township shocks Harrisburg, shocks. 4 seconds left, Hayden Johnson to Asher Wolf in the back of the end zone, touchdown. Streaks beat Harrisburg at Severance, 24-20, unbelievable game. Great win for Township, and they were like that close from beating Cumberland Valley in week 1. So Township could be 3-0. They were really good and beat the Cougars. Secondly, Hamburg, we can touch on these guys more, 3-0, and they've been great. 177 points in 3 games. They're averaging 59 points a game, 3rd in the state, which is wow. Pierce Mason has just been unbelievable at running back, 292 and 4 touchdowns last week. He's got 9 touchdown runs, a kick return for a touchdown, and a punt return for a touchdown. Hamburg, Anvil this week. That should be really good. Thirdly, Elizabethtown. Really impressed with the Bears. I'd like to get a look at them here when I can. 3-0 for the first time since 2017. Braden Cummings last week against LD. 10 catches, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns. He has 9 touchdown catches in 3 games. If that doesn't lead the state, I'd like to see who has more than 9. So tip of the cap to E-Town, Hamburg, and Mannheim Township.
I think we still have another couple weeks yet before Solanco and E-Town square off.
Yeah.
But we do have another big game in Section 3 anyway this week. But we'll get to that here in a minute. I want to start in LL Section 2 this Friday. You talked about it. Exeter 3-0 going to Governor Mifflin. Uncharacteristic 1-2 start, but hey, they had a lot of new pieces coming in.
Right, and I expected them to be a little better than they have. They've really struggled to move the ball. And they're going to struggle again this week because Exeter's forte so far has been defense.
Yeah.
They have just been pounding people on that side of the ball. They've got some great athletes, and now they're using Joey Schlaffer at the end, which just presents one more big problem. He hadn't really played defense until this year. Their line is great. They've got some fast linebackers. They're just solid. Top to bottom. So, I think, again, that section's going to come down to Mannheim Central and Exeter, and we'll find out, when those two meet again.
Is that week 9?
Yeah,
it's
pretty
late,
in the
right?
schedule.
And then is Mifflin Central week 10? I think.
You're already looking at it.
I hate to look that far ahead, but yeah, those games are all right there at the very end.
But I think it's Exeter, Mannheim.
All right. And staying in LL Section 2, Conestoga Valley 2-1 going to Warwick 1-2. The Warriors finally picked up their first win of the season last Friday, beating a pretty good Cedar Crest team 26-20. Conestoga Valley back and forth game last week against Garden Spot. Buckskins come out on top. Your alma mater 41-35. So CV going to Warwick.
2 wins in a row for the Bucks, kind of quietly. They're just kind of flying along here under the radar. Scored 42 against Boone. Boone's been a head scratcher a little bit. They got a win last week. 83 points in the last 2 games for CV. OT win against Garden Spot, which was 2-0. That's a good win for CV. Nick Tran ran wild, 270 and 3 touchdowns, including the game winner in OT. Warwick gets a home game here. If you followed along with Warwick's odyssey, with their construction at Grosh Field, they played 3 road games to start. They'll get a home game here. They're bringing in portable bleachers for the CV folks on Friday night for a home game. I think it's homecoming. And then Warwick's right back on the road for the next, 6 weeks. They're supposed to play Mifflin at home in week 10, but that game's up in the air. They're not sure what they're going to do with it yet. So interesting. Warwick got back on track last week. Jack Reed, big night. Brendan Snyder, big night. Fun game.
Let's go to LL Section 3. You pick these teams to be numbers 1 and 2 going into the season. Solanco 3-0 going to Ephrata 2-1. The Mules coming off a come from behind. They were down 26-14. They beat Penn Manor at Penn Manor 29-26. Ephrata last week. After a week 1 loss to Redline, 24-21. Still not really sure what to make of that considering Redline just lost to Reading. Anyway, Ephrata's won their next 2. They beat Warwick in week 2, 29-21. They beat Lebanon 42-20 last week. I'll be at this game on Friday, Solanco at Ephrata.
Great start for Solanco, great comeback. Stat of the week, Lebanon held Andre Weidman to 7 yards on 9 carries last week, which is like, wow, kudos for that. Weidman still had 4 catches and 2 TD catches out of the backfield.
So he made up
Ho-hum, he made up elsewhere.
Good on him.
Great game, and this Section 3 race is going to be so wide open that the winner here really gets a leg up, I think. You don't want to get too far behind in Section 3. Good comeback win for Solanco. They're legit. I think I said it last week. I really like them. I think they're going to be there one way or another in week 10. That's a fun game on the turf. See how Solanco handles a turf game, and they got to slow down Weidman because he'll be spitting fire after 7 yards last week.
Finally, LL Section 4, you guys are both going to be at this game. You for your website, My Trico Sports, you for LMP Lancaster Online. Waiwu missing 3-0 going to Berks Catholic, and uncharacteristic 0-3. Waiwu beat Trinity last week, 35-14. Berks Catholic, I knew nothing about Pope John Paul II, but they Pope John Paul II beat Berks Catholic 49-28. All that is to say, two teams on different ends of the spectrum going into this one.
Yeah, this was for a long time the #1 game in Berks County, and we had some great games between the Saints and the Spartans. I don't see one this year. Wyomissing's just too good. This is not one of Berks Catholic's better teams, and Wyomissing's got tremendous size on the lines. They got a veteran team. They've got some real playmakers. So this is they call it the backyard brawl because those schools are neighbors, and I just think it's going to be a one-sided contest this year.
How many running backs does YO have? They just have this bottomless pit of running backs.
They do. They've got. I mean, their second team backfield is better than most teams' starting lineup, and they're just the talent there is seemingly endless. They graduated 6, 7 all-state players from last year's team, and they're going to have 4, 5, or 6 more this year.
Curious.
Amazing.
For the Lancaster Lebanon crew who are still trying to figure out the Berks stuff, why's YO been so good here in the last couple of years? AA, AAA program. I think people are starting to get to know Wolfram's name a little bit.
Yeah.
YO, what's going on over there? It's unbelievable.
I mean, they've always been good. But the last 3 years, they've peaked. They've never had teams this good before and this dominant. And I asked Bob Wolfram the same question. He's like, I really don't know, but I just think that a great youth system and a veteran coaching staff, and these are second and third generation players where their dads played, and some of them, their grandfathers played on some of these teams. So it's tradition. You can't beat that, and you can't get it overnight.
But were they doing this 20, 30 years ago when those dads were playing?
They were winning district championships, but they weren't state championship caliber until 2012. These kids, this group, these guys were first, second, third graders when Alex Anzalone and those guys won a state title. So that certainly spurred the interest in the program, but it's always been high. And this is just, you get a kid like Javen Williams, that's a once-in-a-generation player you get.
The other kid I'm curious about in Berks, please fill in the blanks, the Reading quarterback, Amir, 3 straight 100-yard rushing nights. I mean, he missed all of last season with a shoulder. How special is he? And they get Wilson on Friday, which is a really cool Berks game, I think.
Yeah.
But tell the people about Amir and how good he is.
Before this season, more well known for basketball. Because he was, as a sophomore, a key sub on Reading's state championship team. Last year, he was a starter, and he's a lockdown defender in basketball. But he, we expected him to have this kind of a breakout season. Last year, he broke his collarbone in the first scrimmage and missed the whole year. Year before was the COVID year, so he didn't really get a chance to play because Reading suspended their fall sports. So we saw him as a freshman make some plays, and he was splitting time at quarterback as a freshman. And it's like, this guy's going to be good, but it's just taken forever for him to really get a chance. And he's, a special kid. He's a true dual threat player and a smart kid, competitive instincts. He's going to challenge Wilson. I mean, Wilson's obviously the strong favorite, but they have had trouble at times shutting down dual threat quarterbacks. And he's going to give them some fits.
One last game, not to keep us any longer. Section 5, we should give a shout out. Hamburg, I think, goes to Anvil. You tell me about Hamburg, you tell me about AC.
Go.
Hamburg, first-year coach, Troy Hoffert was a longtime assistant, played there. Has wanted this job forever, and it's all clicking for them. They have a senior quarterback, Xander Menapace, big kid, 6'4", good runner, good passer, smart, knows the offense. And their line, which was a bit questionable coming into the year, it's getting better each week. And you mentioned Pierce Mason. He's just a strong, fast kid. And a senior who, he was the #2 option last year. He averaged 10.5 yards a carry behind Deani Ruiz, who was an all-state player. Yeah. But, he showed that he's got breakaway ability and he's a tough runner. So Hamburg really hasn't been challenged yet. Their schedule's been a little soft. Anvil probably the best team they've faced so far, but they'll have bigger challenges down the line.
Yeah, I was at Anvil this week, and I talked to Matt Gingrich, and first thing he said was their line's really good. He was impressed with the Mason kid. He said their line's been tough. Anvil, 1,006 rushing yards, leads the league. That's pretty good. They've been good up front. Phoenix Music, our boy, 619 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns, leads the league in rushing. So he's been really good too. Fun game. May the best defense win that one. Last team with the ball might win that game.
All right, 20 games on tap, and what is week 4 this Friday? And I think there's one Saturday.
Elko at Conrad Weiser Saturday
All right,
night.
we'll
See you in
covered
Robizonia.
Between LMP and Lancaster Online and MikeDragosports.com. Mike, thanks for stopping in.
Thank you, Michael.
To Lancaster City. Make sure to check out the scoreboard on the homepage of Lancaster Online Friday night, and we'll have real-time updates and coverage of all those games. For Jeff Reinhardt, Mike Drago, I'm John Walk. Thanks to Bobby Rahal, Lexus for sponsoring this awesome LL Football Roundtable show. We'll catch you next week.